What's going on, everybody? I am Perry White. I'm the host of the Jaguar Journal. I want to make sure that you guys tune in live each and every Saturday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on 107.3 FM. We also have our affiliates in Alexandria, Louisiana, as well as down in New Orleans. And if you're not able to catch us on radio live, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as follow us on Facebook. It's the Jaguar Journal.
Opinionated, outspoken, informative. The Jaguar Journal. Your source for the latest information on Southern University sports and SWAC athletics. A Baton Rouge sports talk tradition.
All right, good morning, everybody. It is the Jaguar Journal. Of course, I am Perry White. Glad to have you guys with us. And you know, when you hear my voice and you hear it's the Jaguar Journal, that means it's Saturday morning. Beautiful Saturday morning, too, if you've been outside here in South Louisiana, here in Baton Rouge. And actually, pretty much this week it's been beautiful. Really have enjoyed it. Enjoyed the weather, been outside and been able to move around. I hope you guys are doing the same. It's that time of year. You know, it's that time of the year to get active, to get outside. Are you still keeping up? You remember back in January when I asked about those New Year's resolutions, right? And one of them is always that weight loss journey. Are you still on that weight loss journey? Or whatever the case may be, in order to help yourself get better this year? What have you been doing in order to improve your 2026? And as we continue to move through the year, April is right around the corner. Spring is here. Things are blossoming. For people who understand the spring like I do, allergies. Jeez, man. Do y'all have bad allergies? I do. I'm talking about Claret and Zyrtec. Shout out to my man Kevin Walker, too. Looking out for me, man. I'm talking about I be needing my plug on my allergy medicine. And my man Kevin Walker gets me right. And I appreciate him for that. But for everybody, man, good morning. Glad to have you guys with us. We're going to get things rocking and rolling on today's show. A lot to talk about today, too. We're going to have my man Zach McKenna. We're going to talk about the FCS top 30 recruiting class, more so out of the transfer portal. It's football season, so, and I know at the end of the day, that's what you guys want to talk about. I come on here and talk about a lot of stuff. But when I talk about football, that always gets the excitement. That always get the views. I try to give you everything else from politics to education to health, whatever the case may be. Finance, y'all want to talk football, and I get it. Well, guess what? It's that time of the year, spring football. I've been out at practice checking out the Jaguars this week. I tell you this, today we're going to focus on the defensive side of the ball, as last week we looked at the offensive side of the ball. But when we go to the offensive side of the ball, I must admit, I will tell y'all, I do like the go-go offense. I think once the time comes when we can truly get the personnel to fit it, it can be something to deal with. I like the multiple option run options out of the go-go. Anybody, many of y'all out there, you don't really know me. You hear me come on here, talk, but you may not know me personally. But those that know me personally on the football side know I love to run the ball. That is my style of offense. I believe it creates physicality. And it creates a tougher defense having to go against an offense that's just going to wham you all practice, all game. And for me, after 4 quarters, who's going to be standing and who's going to be leaning, especially with teams that do not have the talent at the depth? As you start to get past your starters, your first string guys. But I love the run options out of the go-go offense. And if you guys have not seen it, hey, go look it up for yourself. Get a chance to see it. It creates what I like about it. It's not that same old just inside zone, hand it off, pitch it out. This offense creates so many mismatches to where defense really have to play discipline. And I love it. I love the speed option out of it. I love the passing dynamic. And of course, I'm still one of those, which I'm glad, of the tight end position. But for those of you who have not seen it and you're unfamiliar like the go-go, yes, it has a name, the go-go offense, but it's a truly unique offense. And I say unique is really old school, just brought into modern ways. It's nothing more than what you would consider the wishbone, just now packaged in the shotgun formation. Pretty much all it is. Packages in the shotgun formation, now creating it, calling it the RPO. Run pass option. But it gives you so many different looks from the fact of the shotgun formation. And it has some under center to it as well. But I'm telling you guys, I like it. It's my type of offense when you can run the ball down an opponent's throat. Pause. But you get it. Mike, don't give me that eyebrow up. But I love it. So I'm looking forward to see how this offense continues to go. And just looking at it, I think Ken Merchant is going to have his hands full trying to get the right personnel in. Looking at the quarterback battle, and it's just, reiterating from last week as today's show is going to be defensive heavy, but Stroughton has the command. I will put it like that. He is the commander. You can tell he has the command. He wants to be the leader. But the McCauley kid from Long Beach, California, Wyatt McCauley, let me tell you, he has that athletic ability about him. He seems to more fit the style of what the go-go offense is actually looking for, an athletic, mobile quarterback. I wouldn't say he's just the most dual threat, but out of the room right now from what I see, it's the most athletic. I'm looking at the running back room too. Southern has some big running. Hey, Trey Holly, that's all I can say. I really do like Barry Remo. I think for me, Barry Remo, as good as he is, he's a little stiff in the hips. He's stiff. He don't have that cut to him. Trey Holly has vision. He has the agility. He can step on you. He can spin on you, or he can flat out just run you over. Trey Holly is the it factor. There's no other way I can say. He is the bright spot for this offense coming into this year. And from what I've been seeing. Now, I'm not saying nothing wrong with the running back room, because they are deep. But you can tell why Trey Holly is who he is. When I talk about coming out of high school as Louisiana's all-time leading rusher on the high school side, being able to be a 4-star recruit, making it to LSU, you see why. He does the right things, I would say, about 95% of the time. All he has to do is keep the ball from being on the ground, fumbling. But we'll get back to all of that. And right now, let's get ready to take a break. When I come back on the other side, we're going to talk some softball. Southern University softball. I can't ask you how you've been keeping up with it because I've been bringing it to you each and every week. And when I bring it to you this week, you will see where Southern University softball stands as Coach Brittany Williams joins the show here. So you guys stay tuned. We'll be back more of the Jaguar Journal.
BET presents Black College Football tonight live from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, in a key SWAC matchup. It's the Jaguars of Southern University playing host to the you see LaKendrick Powell in a heated battle for the starting position with Roger Lynn and Fred Leonard, and he won out. As you look at the Budweiser starting lineups, Ron Johnson is your running back, Quincy Lee your fullback, Williams and Hayes your wide receivers. The offensive line, big, strong, averaging over 300 pounds. Dorsey, Smith, Blatcher, and Landry are your defensive front. Chris Cooper, your newcomer of the week in the SWAC after a tremendous ball game last week. Lenny Williams is a tough cornerback. You take a look at Terrence Levy. Was number 1 in the SWAC last year in pass efficiency after taking over in week 6. And this time they give it to Williams.
Got nothing on that.
We now look at our Budweiser starting lineups for Southern. Williams, the running back, the enemy is the fullback, who of course is the cousin of Eric Bieniemy, who played at Colorado. Your offensive line, Tyson, Jenkins, and Green. You go on that left side, you got nothing but big guys in front of you, leading the way. 3rd down and 4. And here's Lewis off the catch. Lewis still on his feet, and Lewis is streaking down the sideline. Touchdown. 69-yard play. Well, last week he had a 79-yard touchdown reception as Villagrano in to attempt the point after the penalty, and he converts on it. So Southern, just like that, thanks to Devin Lewis, a 69-yard touchdown play, up 7-0. So they move back 5 yards. Levy on 3rd down. Look at that on sideline. Yes, sir! Big time play. Touchdown, Southern. And the catch was made by Kentrell Plain. Villagrano's point after is up, and it's good. And so things are going a little too easy for Southern already. They're up 14-0, and we still have 8:22 left here in the first quarter.
There's a slight drizzle.
So here we are, 3rd down. And it looks like it's about 15, and the ball is loose inside, and Southern may have the football. Powell lost control of it, fumbled the football, and Southern gets it back. Big number 71, Travis Dorsey with the recovery. So here we are, 1st and goal. Williams inside, Williams touchdown. Jerry Williams, who last week rushed for just 4 yards. You knew he wasn't feeling good about that.
All right, everybody. Good morning. We are back. It's the Jaguar Journal. I'm Perry White. Glad to have you guys with us bright and early on a Saturday morning. Good morning to everybody watching on our Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitch. We're live on all of them. And everybody listening across the Baton Rouge capital city area on Talk 107.3 FM. Good morning. Glad to have you guys with us. Of course, as we've been talking throughout the entire spring semester, we have consistently been keeping you guys up to date with what's going on with Southern University softball. And once again, here joining us this morning is Southern University head softball coach, Coach Brittany Williams. Good morning, Coach Williams.
Good morning. Good morning.
Glad to have you on with us. You guys have been finding success this year. 20 wins so far on the season. You've won 10 of your last 11 games. 1 loss on the road last week in game 1 in that 3-game series against Pine Bluff, but you shook back, you got them back together, and we've been on this journey with you from the very first pitch of the season all the way to where we're at now. And for you, 20 wins on the season. Looking back at it, this time last year, about where were you when you're looking at the uptick of the program this year compared to last year?
Last year we were, good defensively and needed a little help offensively around this time. So this year we're on track to beat last year's record and continue to grow the program.
You know, go back to that series with Grambling. You guys get it done 10-0, 7-1, 6-5 in 3 games. Then you take on Louisiana Christian 12-7, 6-3. Then you go on the road to Pine Bluff and you drop game 1, 2, 3, and then you had a chance to talk to us that next day and say, just getting the young ladies back on track, play the ball that you teach them to play. And that's having that culture and having fun. And you come back and win 4-0, 13-9 to win that series. You host Xavier 2-1, 6-2 in 2 games. And then this weekend having Alcorn at home. Yesterday you win 7-0. You have 2 games set with them today at 12 and immediately after game 3. Looking at your team coming into these winning streaks that you guys have had, and you had them throughout the season. Early on, a 6-game winning streak, and now right now a 5-game winning streak. What are you saying in order to get these young ladies to play that high caliber softball that you want them to play?
Man, hearing the winning streaks is new for me. we literally go 1 game at a time, and that's what I tell them. Each game we're getting better. Our end goal is to win the SWAC tournament. So every day, I told them that journey looks different for each person, each individual, each team, honestly. So each day we work on making sure that we are better so that by the end of the season, there are no holes. And if a win comes with that at the end, we'll take it. So that's why I'm saying the record that you're telling me, like, I didn't even realize we were at 20 wins either. Like, I'm literally taking it game by game.
Don't forget I said it then. Nope, forget I said you're not at 20. I don't want to do anything to jinx you. Nope, you're not at 20 wins. We still trying to get there. But as you look at the season, do you put goals on how many wins we can get within a year? I know the ultimate goal is to win the championship, but what are those goals that you set out for these young ladies to accomplish, to continuously trying to reach?
Our goal for this year was to have selfish individuals that make a complete team. So story behind that is the past few years, I think we maybe had 1 accolade at the SWAC tournament, making postseason awards and things like that. So our goal was to make sure that each person is grinding so that their name can be in the pot for the end of the season, which makes better athletes, which in turn gives us a better team. So we didn't look at wins and losses. We were looking at really stats, seeing if we could beat the home run record, seeing if we could beat the steal record, things like that.
You know, I look back last year, you guys finished with an overall record of 22-24. Right now, already with 20 wins, you're 20-11 on the season. For you, as you continue to build a culture, for anybody out there, what is the culture under Coach Brittany Williams for Southern University softball that we continuously see the improvement? Because when we saw 22 wins last year, it was hip hooray. It was like, really? Now we're already 20 wins and we still got plenty more games to go.
Yes, the culture is to have fun, because when you're having fun, you don't realize like what the record is or what the score is or any of those things. And to be dominant, we want to have a dominant culture. You said our win was 7-0 yesterday, and they got a speech after that because we had bases loaded to end it in the 6th inning, and we still had to continue to play. So for us, it's bigger than the wins. It's clean softball, and that's kind of what's been keeping us motivated and keeping us going. And then when you focus on those goals, the wins come with it.
Let's start going through this roster of young ladies that have been impact players of turning this culture and this program around with Southern University softball. Give us some names of young ladies that's really making some improvements through the development process here in this program.
One person I'm really proud of is Aaliyah Zabala. She is a sophomore this year, was a freshman pitcher last year, behind a really good pitcher that we had, Miranda Rolden. And she didn't get a ton of opportunities last year, but she has stepped up big for us. She's leading the conference in shutouts, and just doing her thing for us on the mound, so keeping us in the game. Offensively, we have a few bats that's been very hot. This is also Abigail Mitchell's first year. She redshirted last year and was able to stepped in that role as a dominant first baseman and power hitter, getting some RBIs in for us. And we have Layla Clark, who has gotten a hit, RBI almost every single game for us. And then my fifth-year senior, Asia George, who's decided out of the blue to come back and play her fifth year, which so excited about that. And she's been nothing but consistent in the outfield and definitely a great leadoff for our team.
When you're building a roster with softball for you, you know, there's different styles, and I'm not the most in the know of styles of offense and defense in softball, but for you, what kind of style of ball do you guys play?
Well, they have shifted my style. I'm a small ball girl, manufacturing runs, tricking the defense. I love the strategy piece of offense, but we have some power hitters that have shown me like how important that part of the game is. So I kind of let them do their thing. I tell them what I expect, and they get to choose when they want to do those things. So, for example, Asia, I need at least minimum a steal a game, if not two. So she picks out when she wants to do it, and she gets it done. Sometimes I'm at third base, and I look up, and they're, on third with me. So they get to think and strategize in the game as well. I let them be free. So I think that's been working for us.
Let's look at this program right now. In 2023, Southern University softball went 13-34 overall, 8-16 in conference play in the SWAC. In 2024, 16-27 overall, 12-12 in the SWAC. 2025, Southern University went 22 of 24 overall in the season, and 13 of 11 in conference play. Right now, with 14 games left still to go in the season, Coach, you guys are 20-11. You're 6-4 in conference play, and most of all, you're 9-0 at home. I think the trajectory of the program, anybody can see, is continuously going up, and I think it has gone up really just simply of what you've been doing, creating a coach and getting the right fit of players to get in there and making it fun for them to go out there and play. And not only for you and those players, but give a shout out to your staff and those who are helping to turn around this program and create this success.
Yes, I have to. Coach Joshua Stanford has been with me the longest. He's our recruiting coordinator. So he helps me get those girls that are a great fit for our program. We not only look at talent, but personality as well. So he does that. He vets them. He bugs me about who I need to call and things like that. So he's doing an excellent job with that. Our newest member of the staff is Cameron Atkins. She came on really in January of this year. She played for me in some of those years that you mentioned. So it was great to get her, an alum, to come back. She brought some of the traditional cheers back that we used to do before the game and during the game, and just brought the Southern tradition back to this program. And Alex Stevens, who's also new this year, is a hitting guru. She's been out there coming up with all kinds of drills and things to make sure that our athletes are working hard and working on fundamentals, but also having fun. You don't want to get up there and just do the same drill on the tee every day. If she mixes that up very well, and it definitely shows.
Coach, for everybody out there that want to keep up with the program, aside from listening to you here on the Jaguar Journal, give your social media and everything else so they can keep up with Southern University softball.
Yes, we are at SU softball _ on all platforms. We definitely encourage you to follow us there. You can receive game updates, camp updates. That's the quickest way to keep up with Southern softball. We also have our players give you a day in the life, so you get to know them outside of the field, see how their classes are going, and just they all have fun personalities. So you get to know them by following us on social media.
And I'll go back to this once again before I get ready to let you go. I'm going to start back in 2023. I just want people to realize the upside of this and where this program is headed. Once again, in 2023, Southern University was 13-34 with an overall record in softball, 8-16 in conference play. They were 16-27 in 2024 and 12-12 in conference play. In 2025, 22 wins, 24 losses, and 13-11 in conference play. And so far this year, 20-11, 20 wins, 11 losses, 6-4 in conference play, 9-0 at home, including a victory over the University of Memphis. Southern University women's softball has won 10 of his last 11 games with 14 games left on the season. Coach, hey, I'm enjoying watching this unfold. I'm enjoying hearing and seeing the journey, and I'm glad we're able to bring this to people so they can keep up with it, and this won't be a secret. Nobody can say it's a secret. It is out there. You can tell Coach Williams is doing something with this program. It shows with the record, everybody. It shows with the wins, and Coach, thank you for all that you do, and for anybody that's out there that wants to help donate to this program, please, Coach Williams, give an email or anything for people to help improve and continue to take this program to the next level.
Yes, of course. It's Brittany, BRITTNEY, .williams01@sus.edu. We are grateful for any donations.
Say that one more time, a little louder for the people in the back.
It's Brittany, BRITTNEY, .williams01@sus.edu.
I appreciate you, Coach Williams. Want to make sure anybody out there that wants to see this program, I know we get caught up into the football and the basketball, but the other sports matter too, and especially when you have a coach like Coach Williams that's turning around the program and have them headed in the right direction. I can't tell you the last time I saw Southern softball at this point in the season 9-0 at home, and you guys have Alcorn this week, so anybody out there want to get a chance to go out there and check out this turnaround of a program under Coach Williams and her staff, and have Alcorn today, first pitch at 12, game 3 immediately after that. So get a chance to go out there and check these young ladies out and Coach Williams and what they're doing. Winners of 10 of their last 11 and 9-0 at home. Thank you for joining us this morning, Coach Williams, and keep up the good work. And don't remember, hey, you didn't win 20 games yet. You're still trying to get there.
Still trying to get there.
All right, everybody. That's the voice of Coach Brittany Williams. She is the softball coach over at Southern University. Let's get ready to take a break. We come back on this side. We'll keep it going here on the Jaguar Journal, okay? Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
BET presents Black College Football tonight live from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, in a key SWAC matchup. It's the Jaguars of Southern University playing host to the Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions. They say the road to the SWAC title goes through Southern, a place with a new $1 million. You see the Kendrick Powell in a heated battle for the starting position with Roger Lynn and Fred Leonard, and he won out. As you look at the Budweiser starting lineups, Ron Johnson is your running back, Quincy Lee your fullback, Williams and Hayes your wide receivers. The offensive line, big, strong, averaging over 300 pounds. Dorsey, Smith, Blatcher, and Landry are your defensive front. Chris Cooper, your newcomer of the week in the SWAC after a tremendous ball game last week. Lenny Williams is a tough cornerback. You take a look at Terrence Levy, was #1 in the SWAC last year in pass efficiency after taking over in week 6. And this time they give it to Williams.
Got nothing on that.
We now look at our Budweiser starting lineups for Southern. Williams, the running back, the enemy is the fullback, who of course is the cousin of Eric Bieniemy, who played at Colorado. Your offensive line, Tyson, Jenkins, and Green. You go on that left side, you got nothing but big guys in front of you, leading the way. 3rd down and 4. And here's Lewis off the catch. Lewis still on his feet, and Lewis is streaking down the sideline. Touchdown. 69-yard play. Well, last week he had a 79-yard touchdown reception as Villagrano in to attempt the point after the penalty, and he converts on it. So Southern, just like that, thanks to Devin Lewis, a 69-yard touchdown play, up 7-0. So they move back 5 yards. Levy on 3rd down. Look at that sideline. Yes, sir. Big time play. Touchdown, Southern. And the catch was made by Kentrell Plain. Villagrano's point after is up, and it's good. And so things are going a little too easy for Southern already. They're up 14-0, and we still have 8:22 left here in the first quarter.
There's a slight drizzle.
So here we are, 3rd down. And it looks like it's about 15, and a ball is loose inside, and Southern may have the football. Powell lost control of it, fumbled the football, and Southern gets it back. Big number 71, Travis Dorsey with the recovery. So here we are, first and goal. Williams inside, Williams touchdown. Jerry Williams.
All right, everybody, we're back. Good morning. It is the Jaguar Journal. Glad to have you guys with us. I'm Perry White, and we got it rocking and rolling on a Saturday morning, and glad to have you guys with us. Listen, as we continue to get talking about football season and getting things going with football season, of course, it's spring football here in Baton Rouge. And when we talk about spring football here in Baton Rouge, we're looking at Southern University. But Southern University, of course, is in the SWAC, and the SWAC is in FCS. And when we talk about the FCS side of things, we're looking at the overall grand scheme of not only the SWAC, and in Louisiana, we have the SWAC, we have the Southland. The SWAC competes against the MEAC in the Celebration Bowl. And nobody better to talk about all of that, because as I wrap this up, for you guys to hear better from him than my man Blue, a.k.a. Zach McKenna. What's up, Blue?
What's good, man? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Good, man. Good. I'm excited. Transfer portal stuff's done, and now with no spring window, man, we can start getting a little bit into preview season, even though it's only, late March, early April?
You know, the excitement is always there, but the way the college football landscape looks today, man, shoot. What you see in the spring may not be what you see in the fall, the way that the transfer portal and everything else works these days. And at the same time, we're also looking at kind of the dying out of the spring football games, right? Even here at Southern, it's going to be called more the spring showcase. What's your thoughts of the spring games and the kind of doing away with them? And it's not really the huge factor that it once was.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's just the evolution of the game, and also too, Barry. Like with no spring window this year, injuries are so much more. I was going to say impactful on a team's trajectory. Because Perry, let's take Southern for example, because we're on the Jaguar Journal. If Southern loses 2 offensive linemen, well, guess what, Perry? You can't just go to the portal and wait till the spring window and replace those guys if they have long-term injuries. You just lose those guys. And so I think teams are much more cautious. I've actually talked to 3 different head coaches at the Legacy Bowl this year, Perry, who said that last year they took the wrong approach and got banged up in spring. And they've had a handful of key players that really missed that developmental part of summer that could have used it going into the season. So I don't think Southern's alone in this thinking. And I think teams are going to have to come up with more creative ways to get the fans involved for spring. But if you ask the majority of head coaches, Perry, spring games aren't for the fans. They don't even care anymore. They're just like, man, let's get through this healthy. We make progress in practice, Perry, and we don't need to have a full-time game where we risk injury or anything like that to really show what we learned in spring. Let's get to the summer healthy, and we'll reconvene in fall camp.
You know, as we talk about the spring games and everything else, the transfer portal has become an essential part of college football now more than ever, especially with the addition of NIL. And for FCS Football Central, FCS football, the top 30 FCS transfer portal class in 2026. Now, I'm interested in going through this with you because everybody has the questions of what guys are going where. So with you, let's kind of go through this. And at number 30, starting with a HBCU, is Morgan State out of the MEAC, a team that has not quite been able to find the success that Delaware State, South Carolina State, North Carolina Central has found, and even Howard. Morgan State has been right there still trying to find it, but yet they come in at number 30 in this top 30. They've gone out and tried to get some talent.
Yeah, I'm actually super impressed with their class, Barry. I think they did something this year that they haven't done in a while, and that's address a handful of needs offensively. They signed 56 players on signing day this year, and I thought they had some of the more impactful Division II transfers that we saw in FCS football. Jordan Barnett, a running back out of Shepherd, was one of our top running backs. He's a guy who's been a multi-year contributor there. 5'11", 220, Perry, has a really good size there. They signed a quarterback out of Wheeling who was splitting time as a starter last year. I think finished 13 touchdowns, 3 picks. from there as well. Wide receiver Joseph Towler out of Bowie State that I think can be a top contributor. And then they even went into the CAA and landed a guy who was a key rotation guy on the offensive line, and Tyler Habersham, who I think could be an instant starter for them. Went and got Kelton Sparks and Anthony Truman from 2 other FCS programs that are probably going to be plug-and-play starters on the O-line. I thought Morgan did an excellent job, and if this class has a high hit rate, Perry, they're going to be a contender in the MEAC next year. But again, as we always say with Morgan State, Perry, what is it? It comes down to whether they can pick the right quarterback. If you look at this team over the past 3-4 years, they've nailed defense, they've nailed running back. Offensive line's been hit or miss, but it has been improving. The one issue has been quarterback. Can they nail the quarterback spot?
And they've even been good in special teams as well. As we continue to move through, number 29 is Chattanooga coming in at number 28. And listen, we're talking the top 30 FCS transfers. Now Nichols, a team just down the road from us, an FCS team, they come in at number 28. Briefly give us something on Nichols and what they've been able to bring in.
Yeah, I thought they again, man, that they signed a big class, but I don't know if it had the amount of like top contributors. But their class is really carried by their defensive back. Jamal Shelby was our number 2 ranked cornerback in the FCS in terms of signing guy. He was a starter last year at the FCS level, and then you also bring in Leonard Harris from Louisiana Monroe. They had a ton of needs, man. That they get Christian White from Mississippi Valley State, who played last year for Valley, Ellis Thorpe from UAPB. They had a few SWAC additions. I thought Nichols did a good job, and what they do is what Southern has done in the past few years is where they get in-state guys who want to come home, and I think that's where these schools in Louisiana and Texas and Florida can really thrive areas, because a lot of these kids in state do leave because it's a highly recruited area. And in high school, man, there's so many kids coming out of Louisiana that go elsewhere. Well, when they want to come back home here, you know where they need to come to? Southern, Nichols, Southeastern Louisiana. And I really do think Nichols did a really good job of getting some of these guys to come back home.
Number 27, Central Arkansas, UCA. Number 26 so far on this list, Florida A&M. First year Quinn Gray comes back, and he's taking over a program in which he found success as a player. And they've gone into the portal and trying to find success coming up this year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know where most of their class came from, right? It's from Albany State. That's really what a majority of their class. You got Isaiah Morrison coming in on the defensive line, Tyan Weish coming in at running back, Denzel John. One of the top FCS transfers, Denzel Johnson at linebacker coming from Alabama State, was the starter last year for the Hornets. I think that's an amazing addition for them. They added Jason DeLuna from ETSU at defensive back, but let's just be honest, Perry. The crown jewel of FAMU's transfer portal class is Isaiah Knowles. 2-time all-conference quarterback, was a Harlan Hill finalist, has been the conductor point guard of Quinn Gray's offense for 2-3 years now. If this team's only going as far as Isaiah Knowles takes them, and this class, even though it's ranked 26, when we look back on it at the end of the season, it's going to the whole class is really going to be determined by how far Isaiah Knowles can carry this team.
Let's do this. Let's get ready to take a break. When we come back on the other side, we'll continue more of the conversation. I got my man, Zach McKinnell of FCS Football Central. We're looking at the top 30 FCS transfer portal class coming into this spring and what the teams have to offer. So you guys stay tuned. We'll be back. More of the Jaguar Journal.
There's Levy again. Over the middle. Pass up in the air. Tip drill. Pass is intercepted by Dante Wesley. And that's the big-time play they talked about that he is capable of making. You say the name Francois. And here's Powell on the quarterback keeper, and touchdown.
Right up the middle.
Arkansas Pine Bluff. The PAT. Pick this up, and it's good.
The ref was slow to say something.
And so, just maybe Lee Hartman knew something we didn't. He was called for a reason. They're back in it. Called any timeout, so if they don't get in here, they can take a timeout, if I'm not mistaken, but they get in anyway. And Williams gets in for the touchdown. Antonio scoring his second touchdown of the season.
Francisco.
And Francisco's kick is good. So it's now 28-7 with a half a minute left. And Pete Richardson's club has been in control throughout this football game. Here's Powell going to the end zone. Touchdown, Arkansas Pine Bluff. And boy, how they let the receiver get the
You play Southern defensive line was running games, but Arkansas Pine Bluff offensive line held in there real well. Gave him good protection so he could stand tall in the pocket. And Eric Walls came over the crossbar, but pulls the club within 14 right after this. Jimmy Williams, who on the fake, the little motion, and Levy has his pass intercepted. And the defense for Arkansas Pine Bluff still coming up with the plays. This time, Terrell Hemmings with the interception. Here's Powell again, going to throw the football. Intercepted! And dropped! And the ball's still loose! And did Arkansas Pine Bluff get it back? Yes! Bradley been making big plays all day and just made another one.
Watch out, Mr. Powell. Here comes Chapman. And again, it slips out of his hands. And you've got to keep on playing that because that might be a fumble. Picked up by Williams. Williams going down the sideline. And we talked about it before. You've got to stay alert. And Williams picks it up. Jakari Williams, the senior from California, picks up the fumble, races down the sidelines for the touchdown. Villagrano's kick is good. Oh, our final score, Southern wins this one 35-14. Keep in mind that our next game here on BET is next week. Jackson State taking on Tennessee State. Time for us to leave, and we will join Comic View in progress from Southern University here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
We are back. It's the Jaguar Journal. Good morning. Got my man Zach McKinnell joining us from FCS Football Central. Good morning, Zach.
Good morning, man.
All right, we're talking top 30 transfer portal across the country in FCS. We just got through talking about Florida A&M, who came in at number 26, the first SWAC school to break through. Now coming in at number 25, South Dakota State. We keep moving at number 24, North Dakota. At number 23, Rhode Island. At number 22, Holy Cross. Let's look at number 21, McNeese, for just a quick second. What about McNeese brings them to get them knocking on the door of top 20?
Landed a bunch of FCS guys that have significant snaps played, man, and a handful of FCS guys that should be instant starters. Isaiah Fowler from Valpo. But Amiri Wiggins from Louisiana Tech was one of our top 5, I believe, running backs out of the portal that was signed with an FCS school. A guy at Louisiana Tech that played, that was the top contributor, and I think he could be one of the top running backs in FCS football next year. Coming out of the portal, I really think did a good job addressing their needs. If you remember, Perry, they just hired a new coach going into last year, Matt Viator. And if you remember, he was at McNeese in the mid-2000s, early 2010s, when McNeese was going to the playoffs every year.
Mm-hmm.
He led them to 4 Southland championships. And I think last year was a rebuilding year when we went 5-7, 4-4. He knows what he's doing. He has access to the portal now, which he really didn't back in the mid-2000s. And I think he's building a really, really strong culture here. And I would expect McNeese eventually, man, to be a bigger factor in the Southland.
Yeah, they've been kind of in the dumps the past few years, but trying to get back to where they were in the past. Coming in at number 20, Western Illinois. At number 19, East Tennessee State University. Number 18, UT Martin. Then as we continue to move through, coming in at number, where was it, 18? It jumped on me. My bad. Let's see, here I am. UT Martin. Coming in number 17, Eastern Kentucky. And then we go Idaho State, number 16. We go Northern Arizona at number 15. North Alabama at number 14. Youngstown State at number 13. Lamar is another program right up the road over there in Beaumont, coming in at number 12. Matter of fact, I want to stick on to Lamar a little bit because they're right here in our footprint. What about Lamar? Because that program has really been on the upside.
Man, Terry, personally, so just to give you, because obviously we had to have some sort of statistical factor here to determine these rankings. As much as you can try to control for class size, like class size has to matter, right there. You just get more data points. the more players you sign, even though as much as you try to say we're just ranking this based off of per player individual impacts, it's impossible to create a measure that does that, right? Because the more data points you have, the more chances you have to sign really good players. I think Lamar, if you're ranking on a per player impact basis, has a top 10 class. Evan Bullock, in my opinion, is probably the most impactful signing at quarterback. Man, this is a kid that started at Louisiana Tech, was like on the all freshman team at Louisiana Tech, and just got hurt. And I had 14 touchdowns, only 3 picks, 2,100 yards as a freshman for them. But he was limited to 5 games last year, entered the season as a starter. He has a chance to be the top transfer quarterback in FCS. And then you got Parker Jenkins, who was the top 15 running back in our rankings. Devin Williams was the top 10 wide receiver, played at Houston last year. And then you switch to the defensive side of the ball, and they signed a ton of guys that are going to probably be instant impact starters. Brendan Bailey from UMass, Damon Green from Rice. But I love their D2 addition as well. They got Kamari Frederick coming in from Virginia Union on the defensive line, and Brandon Stuckey coming in from UIndy, who's a multi-time all-conference guy up there, has the perfect size, can play all 5 positions across the offensive line. Barry, I think Lamar took a massive step forward, and I would expect they were a playoff team last year. I think they could make a push for the Southland Championship again and be a top team that's coming out of the Southland again.
And let's look at 2 teams that are left on this list that are in the SWAC. Tennessee Tech, that you have as the number 1 team with the transfer portal, and they spend a lot of money. You and I had a great conversation last year on and off the record about Tennessee Tech and the amount of money that they're putting into that program, the investment. But the 2 teams that's in the SWAC that made right there, number 11 is Jackson State. And you're looking at Jackson State having to reload from the talent that they had last year. They did not win the championship. And you know why? Because they had to run up against Prairie View and Coach Tremaine Jackson, who teams come in at number 5. So the 2 teams played in the SWAC championship last year. Jackson State at number 11, Prairie View at number 5. Got about 5 minutes. Sum those 2 up for me and what they've been able to do in the transfer portal.
I just want to be transparent here, Terry. So the top 2 classes for Charlton and Tennessee Tech, like you mentioned, it was a massive gap between those 2 classes and the rest of the list. The difference between 5 and about 13, Perry, came down to like decimal points. I mean, they were all so tight. So Jackson really, I mean, you could just say of like 5 through 11 were almost tied here. And I love Jackson State's class, man. Coach C.C. Taylor went on the recruiting trail, Perry, and put in work. Virgil Marshall, who goes by Swipe, coming in from Western Kentucky at safety, one of my top signings for them. He was the starter at Western Kentucky, a key contributor. He dealt with some injuries. If Swipe can be healthy, man, instant impact guy there. Stanson Israel played significant snaps at Memphis in one of the top G5 conferences in the country. Both of those guys were in our top 10 positional rankings for corner and safety. Micah Gay was a starter at Tennessee State at linebacker. Love that addition. A Marion Ware from Louisiana Monroe, defensive tackle, played at ULM. But I look at a guy like Melvin Collins from Eastern Kentucky, Perry, played almost 200 snaps for Western Kentucky last year on the offensive line. And for me, that's where they really took a big step forward, is on the offensive line. They signed a few guys that I think could be some key contributors there. And then I like a D2 addition they have, and Christian Aiken from Virginia Union. He has the size, versatility to be a really, really good inside linebacker. And so I thought Jackson State did a great job. And I think the one spot, Perry, that they really needed to upgrade, and I think you'll agree with me here, their secondary last year was a bit questionable at times.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you look across all the talent that they brought in, I thought Jackson State took the biggest step forward in the secondary. And I think it was really good for TC to look at that, to look at the class and say, yeah, like we need to take a step forward here. And then also Jalen Foster at safety coming in from ULM. He reminds me a little bit of Trevor Randall, who was at PV last year, who also came from ULM. And so a really good addition for them. But moving on to PV here, man, to keep it brief, Jabari Kirkendall from Alabama State and running back they added. Torrey Goins, UTEP wide receiver, was a key contributor as a freshman last year for UTEP. I really like his upside. Namani Harris from Northern Arizona. Started his career at Texas Southern, was a key contributor there. Played at NAU, has the versatility to play nickel, safety. I like the versatility there. Rondell Carter from Troy. But my favorite addition for them was Cameron Canterbury from ULM. Started 6 games last year for ULM, and when he was at the FCS level, Perry was a freshman All-American at Long Island in 2023 and spent a year at West Florida, where he was also a key contributor. I thought what they did in the secondary, revamping that secondary, was amazing. And really and truly, man, PV and Tremaine Jackson have shown that they can evaluate talent. They know what they're looking for. They had a high hit rate last year, and I think their class this year may not have been as big because I think they signed a little bit. I mean, they signed so many guys last year, but they still brought in a big transfer portal class this year. I think it pushed to 70 with the high school guys, but it might have been a smaller transfer class. But I think they signed a better overall level of talent this year than they did last year. And I think that's really promising for a team that's looking to repeat.
For FCS Football Central, as you hear, Prairie View, A&M comes in with the highest rank of the HBCUs and highest rank, especially in the SWAC, coming in at number 5 overall in the country for FCS transfer portal guys. Blue, hang on with me for a minute. We're going to go to the other side because everybody hear all of this and they say, hey, where was Southern at? I didn't hear Southern in this top 30. Well, we're going to look at Southern for what we know right now. There's not much. I've been looking for a roster. Blue, have you been able to find a roster?
No, I don't think we're going to get a roster so very close to week 1, if I do imagine.
There it is. So we'll go by what we know right now. We'll show you Southern University, who did not make the top 30 nationally on the FCS side, but we'll still take a look at Southern University and then start to take a look more so on the defensive side of the ball. So you guys stay tuned. We'll be back more to Jaguar Journal. Got my man Zach McKinnell, a.k.a. Blue, from FCS Football Central. I'm Perry White, and good morning to everybody out there watching and listening across the world. Glad to have you guys with us. Stay tuned. We'll be back more to Jaguar Journal.
Marching band from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The Southern University marching band is led by drum major Lewis, primetime Broadway Jr. Show him some love. The human jukebox will now take you through a precision drill under the sound of the table. The SU band will now do the midfield drill to the 2. Lovely. put your hands together for the fabulous dancing dolls as they jam to the And now, moving at an amazing trailblazing 360 steps per minute. One of the many reasons why when you say Southern University marching band, it means excitement. And that only just to let you know that they're the best. The Southern University marching band is simply America's finest. So sit back, relax when you're about to face the most exciting time of your life. Have no feeling.
All right, everybody, we're back. It's the Jaguar Journal. Good morning. Glad to have you guys with us. I'm Perry White. Good morning to everybody listening on Talk 107.3 FM across the Baton Rouge capital city area. Glad to have you guys with us. We're live right now as we continue to extend the show. Mike just told me we're live on Instagram now. So not only we're live on Facebook, YouTube, on Twitch, on X, formerly known as Twitter, as well as Instagram. Every week, this show is continuously spreading out, getting further and further out there. So you can pretty much watch us right now across 5 different social sites along with YouTube, and we're continuously growing. So be sure to keep up with us. We got a TikTok. We're on Instagram. We're on X. We're on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Be sure to keep up with us. We're also on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify as well as Twitch TV. All you got to do is simply type in the Jaguar Journal. So we're not only just on 107.3 FM across the Baton Rouge capital city area, but we're all across the globe. But all you got to do is go download one of these social media apps and follow and keep up with the Jaguar Journal. So glad to continuously grow. Thank you, Mike. We're working. We're doing the thing here, trying to make sure we get it all over the place for you guys. And as we continue the show to keep it going, got my man Zach McKinnell, a.k.a. Blue, talking some FCS football from FCS Football Central. Good morning, Blue.
Good morning, man.
As we continue to keep things going now, I got my Southern fans out there going to say, well, I heard this top 30 transfer portal class, right? I did not hear Southern in the top 30, all right? I heard Florida A&M out of the SWAC. I heard Jackson State out of the SWAC. I heard Prairie View out of the SWAC. So where is Southern? And I asked you on the FCS side of things and not just the SWAC. In the grand scheme of things, where does Southern seem to stand right now with this recruiting class that Coach Faulk and his staff were able to get in such a short amount of time?
Okay. Well, we don't rate high school classes, so this is just portal, Perry. Southern ranks 60th in the country for portal.
Hold on, say that again now. What'd you say?
60th.
Okay. In the country.
In the country.
All right. At least we're not in the hundreds, Blue. Okay. Hey, at least we ain't in the hundreds. But okay, 60. Talk to me about 60. We got a ways to go. It was a short period of time. Coach Faulk was signed and named in December. We know that everything had to go on quickly. So give me an update. What's going on to get us at 60?
Yeah, I mean, I just think one, like Southern didn't sign a massive class. And two, there were a handful of players that are more potential over production signings, Perry, where they were young guys who may not have played a ton or guys who have good measurables and have some potential that maybe were just in the wrong system or at the wrong place and needed a fresh start. And I think that's more what they got. They did sign a handful of guys that have some production. I look at, like, you know, I talked last week over the Charles Robertson at wide receiver coming in from Louisiana Lafayette. Really, really like what he brings. He was a top 10 wide receiver for us in the country. I like Ramirez Young, who was a starter at the Division II level coming in on the offensive line. And they signed some defensive guys, which I'm sure we're going to talk about here in just a minute. that I do think has some high ceilings that could be some key contributors. But like I talked about last week, Perry, a lot of this class was high school guys.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I was a little bit confused. I was expecting to say, and come on here and talk about how Southern signed one of the top classes in the country, because that's what Michael Vick did last year, but it didn't work, right? That's what Delaware State did. They brought in a big transfer portal class because they had to flip the roster. It felt like Faulk didn't come in and flip the roster like a lot of people thought he would. And so we'll see. I mean, I just think they didn't sign a massive class, and they signed in these superstar signings that maybe I think all of us probably thought they were going to. I just think it was an okay transfer portal class, and we'll see how it plays out at the end of the season. We'll have a better chance to look back at the hit rate once we get into December.
And I think with this one, the approach seems to be a little bit different from Coach Tremaine Jackson at Prairie View, who came in and realized instantly to go into the transfer portal. Maybe this one seems with this big high school class that they signed, developing the guys and creating the culture from the younger guys, and then maybe bringing in a deeper transfer portal class after this year. What you think?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, they could be long. I mean, there's still kids left in the portal that they could bring in. So, I mean, they could still be adding guys after they get through spring and figure out what they need. But, what are the odds that there's an instant impact all-conference, all-American guy that's still out there? Probably not great. But, I mean, maybe you can land a handful of more depth pieces out there after spring practice that are just left in the portal. So we'll see, Perry. I found it was just a weird approach for me. And I talked to some Southern people at the Legacy Bowl that felt optimistic because it is Marshall Faulk, and it was time for a fresh start for this program. But they were just a little bit uneasy about like where this program was headed. Like, well, what is it going to look like, right? Because as good as some of these true freshmen are, Perry, how many of them are ready right now to play significant snaps in the SWAC? And then that could be you to answer, the fans to answer, the coaches to answer. But I'm assuming looking to just breaking down the roster of what we think it's going to look like, there's going to have to be some true freshmen that are ready to play right now.
Let's look at, Southern ranked 60th overall, but we have some teams ahead with Prairie View being the top 5. So when we look in the SWAC, what would you rank Southern out of the 12 teams with this transfer portal coming out of amongst other SWAC teams, with 3 of the SWAC teams in the top 30, which was Florida A&M, Jackson State, and Prairie View?
They ranked 10th.
Okay.
Yeah, listen, they're only like 3 spots behind Alabama State. So, it's not like there's a huge, like, all the SWAC teams were in the top 30 or anything, Perry. It was just they signed an okay transfer portal class. Like, that's just, to be real, like, that's just what it is. And
yeah,
they're 10th in the SWAC right now. And I think it'll be interesting to go back after the season and see if this was accurate. I mean, I'm looking here, Perry, because I'm just kind of breaking down the numbers. Like, when you look at the top 30, when you get just outside the top 30, Texas Southern was an honorable mention. They just missed out on the top 30. You have North Carolina Central, another HBCU just outside the top 30. You have Alabama A&M just outside the top 30 as well, and then Grambling sitting right there in the top 40s. So we'll see. I mean, and they have a chance to prove all the rankings wrong and be really good, but they're behind some of these other teams. And I think it is just because of the size of the class was a little bit smaller.
I hope it does. It proved to be wrong, Blue. I hope it's a lot better than 60th and 10th out of the 12 teams in the SWAC. That's pretty low. But let's look at Southern University more in depth now on the defensive side of the ball, right? Last week we got a chance to talk offense. On the defensive side of the ball, they bring in Todd Light, who's the defensive coordinator. Coach Light was the defensive back coach at Notre Dame, his alma mater, from 2015 to 2019. He was an NFL defensive back and played with Faulk on the Los Angeles/St. Louis Rams from 1999 to 2000, where they won the Super Bowl together after the 1999 season. He played in 12 years and had 37 career interceptions during his time in the NFL. Coach Todd Light comes in, and he's going to be different for this defense. And if anybody's been out there watching practice, defense has really been stepping it up. Now let's look at the defensive line coach, right? Coach Kramer, Kyle Kramer, who's the defensive line coach. He last worked at Ottawa University, where he served as the special teams coordinator and defensive line coach. He was the special teams coordinator and tight ends coach at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff in 2023. So he comes in order to help there. Let's look at the linebackers coach, Coach Chris Claiborne. Claiborne played in the NFL for 8 seasons, starting 89 of 105 games at linebacker. He served as a quality control analyst at USC, his alma mater. And in 2020, he was hired at Arizona State at the linebackers coach in 2021. Here's a guy that I really do like. He's a legend at Southern University. I don't think he gets enough praise for what he was and what he did at Southern. He was a part of that 2013 SWAC championship team under Coach Dawson Odoms. That's Anthony Balansier, who's going to be the defensive back coach. Balansier is a former standout player here at Southern. He was an all-Southwestern Athletic Conference second-team linebacker as a junior in 2012, and he comes to Baton Rouge after serving as the defensive quality control analyst and assistant cornerbacks coach at Colorado from 2023 to 2025. So I'm glad to have him back. He is a champion. He understands what it means to win in the gold and blue uniform. He was a captain of the team, and I never forget the post game of the SWAC championship is saying we didn't need all those accolades of all these all SWAC guys. We played team football. That's how we was able to beat Jackson State over in Houston in 2013. But it's been a while. We're here in 2026, and I think nonetheless, Blue, I think I and the rest of the Jaguar Nation are simply saying the expectations are to not only win a SWAC championship, but to win and get to a Celebration Bowl. We've watched every team around us get there, from Florida A&M to Prairie View last year, Alcorn, Grambling, everybody, even including Jackson, has been. Southern, you think, like, how have we not been there? We've been knocking at the door. We're no slouch of a program. We're not a bottom feeder, but we've been knocking right there at the door, going to these SWAC championships and coming up short. Not only do Southern fans want to win a SWAC championship game, we want to host a SWAC championship game here in Baton Rouge because of the economic impact it has, not only for the school, but the city and the community around. And on top of, we want to showcase what we have for a national audience to be able to see and then get to that Celebration Bowl. But it's going to start with a defense of Southern University. And when you look back last year, Blue, I do the SWAC, you do the FCS. But Southern's defense ranked 11th in scoring last year, giving up 55 total touchdowns and an average of 36 points a game. Then when you go to total defense, Southern's defense ranked 8th. Once again, people out of 12 teams, they gave up 2,175 rushing yards to opponents and 2,778 passing yards to opponents for an average of 412 yards a game. Southern was 8th also in rush defense, giving up 2,175 yards and 30 touchdowns, which was the most in the SWAC last year. Southern gave up the most rushing touchdowns to opponents and giving up an average of 181 yards a game. And Southern rounds out at 9th in pass defense, giving up 2,778 yards, 24 touchdowns, and an average of 231 yards a game. As much as I talked about offense needing to be fixed, who ranked 11th and 12th near the bottom, defense is kind of knocking at the door. And then you're talking about having given up the most rushing touchdowns of any defense in the conference last year. Coach Light is going to have his work cut out with him.
Yeah, like I know the offense caught a ton of flack last year, Perry, for their lack of productivity, but it was really the defense that kind of wore down as the year went on. And I do think it needs to be completely revamped. And I do think we saw the first signs, Gary, in that, what was it, the MEAC SWAC Challenge, where things kind of just got, I mean, it really got out of hand there with North Carolina Central, where Chris Mosley just had himself a day, to say the least. And I think you just read off all the SWAC rankings. It was kind of the same in terms of national FCS, where you look at total defense, they were 98th in the country and 112th in scoring defense and 78th in passing defense and 95th in rushing defense. So you rank in the bottom half of the country in all 4 major defensive statistical categories. And that scoring defense was one of the worst in the country, literally almost dead last. You got to revamp everything defensively, and so maybe it's a good thing they aren't returning a ton of guys, because I mean, and we have this debate every preseason, right? Because we look at returning starters and returning production. Is it a good thing to have a bunch of returning production from a terrible defense?
If you can coach
possibly.
them up and develop them, I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's a debate, right? Like, I mean, it possibly if they get better, but I mean, at some point, those players are just what they are. Sometimes you got to bring in new guys to improve the defense and improve the production. So they like Southern on both sides of the ball, really and truly, Perry, if we're just going to be honest, was terrible last year.
Mm-hmm.
The only bright spot last year for Southern was the running back. That's it. That was the only bright spot last year for this team. So you're looking at Faulk. That's why, like, I look at this team and I'm just wondering why the roster won't flip a bit more. And so we'll see. Maybe coaching was like 95% of the problem. And if we get better coaching, Perry, maybe this team is better. But I think you look at the film, there was a talent issue at Southern last year. And I think anyone who disagrees really didn't watch the games at times last year.
And, you know, especially on the defensive side of the ball, losing a big-time player like Kelby Givens, who was basically the heart and the soul of the defense, now having to find a new leader to emerge and just finding talent around the ball. And you even look at the secondary last year that was supposed to, you know, I guess really be the bright spot of this Southern University defense, but just all around, like you said, and I'm glad you was able to get the national stats because so often we look at amongst 12 teams in the SWAC and we kind of base that off of it. But once again, as I continue to harp here on this show, Southern has to be a national power, an FCS power. Don't just base and rank yourself off of what teams do in the SWAC. You in the state of Louisiana. The state of Louisiana has multiple FCS teams that you're recruiting against and that you play against. And you got to go out there and beat them. You can't play these teams, and when they play you, you look like you playing the FBS team. Nichols is on the schedule. We have to go to Nichols next year. This team is going to have to be ready for a Nichols team who is already in the top 30 in terms of FCS transfers, trying to rebuild and get their program headed in the right direction. Southern has to be prepared to be able to head in that right direction and have in their mind that we're not just going to be SWAC good. We want to be one of the best teams in the country on the FCS level, no matter who's on the schedule. And I think that's going to have to come down to improving all areas of the ball for Southern University. And we'll get into special teams next week because I know a lot of people have questions about that. But, Blue, can you hang on? Let's get ready to take a break, and we'll come back. And for everybody out there listening, I hope you're enjoying. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back more to Jaguar Journal, okay?
BET presents Black College Football tonight live from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, in a key SWAC matchup. It's the Jaguars of Southern University playing host to the Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions. They say the road to the SWAC title goes through Southern, a place with a new $1 million facelift and sporting a new logo, and yet the old attitude remains, and that is of winning. Hello, everybody. I am George Johnson. Well, it seemed that last year, same time, here on BET, these two teams met in a game of clubs going in opposite directions. Southern University would lose that ball game. They would lose 4 of their first 5 games, pretty much be out of the race for the SWAC title. As for Arkansas Pine Bluff, they would win 3 of their first 4. They were in position, but neither team came home with the title. And yet it was this game that remains vivid in their minds. So you got one club looking for revenge, the other looking to prove that last year was no fluke. Last week, it was Arkansas Pine Bluff who would spot Mississippi Valley State, a 9-3 halftime lead. The defense steps it up. They win that one 19-9. As for Southern got beat last week by Northwestern State, another club that is from the state of Louisiana, a game that really hurt their chances of getting off on a good start. I'm going to have an easy job up here because I've got 2 capable veterans helping me with this broadcast. First, I want to introduce you to the former quarterback of the Syracuse Orangemen who spent 7 years in the National Football League, and Don McPherson. And Don, when we talk about Southern, this is a club with high expectations because they return a lot of veterans, but they lost maybe their most important player in Michael Hayes last week because of injury.
Yes, Georgia, the loss of Michael Hayes could be the biggest loss in the entire conference. It happened in the second half last week against Northwestern State, and now a torn ACL keeps the preseason SWAC Player of the Year on the sideline for the remainder of the season. That puts a tremendous amount of pressure on this young man, Terrence Levy, who has to step up the run game that was lacking last week. It also means he's going to have to spread the ball around to a myriad of great receivers, including this man right here, Devin Lewis. His job is going to be to pick up the slack for lacking Michael Hayes.
Yeah, I figured that a quarterback would talk about offense, but we also got to concentrate on the defense of Southern, because last year Arkansas Pine Bluff rushed for 385 yards against this club. So that means the front seven got a lot of pressure on them, and they're led by Michael Landry.
And Michael Landry is a speed guy. He likes to come off the corner. He's a gifted athlete, like I said, who likes to come off the corner in the pass rush, but he has a big task because last year Arkansas Pine Bluff held the ball for nearly 40 minutes in this ball game.
You know, we're not going to do this all by ourselves. We got the big guy coming back with us. That's right, the former Dallas All-Pro offensive lineman, and Nate Newton also joining us in the booth. And Nate, he talked about that running game of Arkansas Pine Bluff, putting the big yards on the field against Southern. They've got two running backs that rushed for over 1,000 yards last year, and Dwight McKissick and Ron Johnson. Johnson had 120 last week against Mississippi Valley State.
Here you see McKissick. They call him Thunder. He likes to run tough. He gets between the tackles and he make things happen. He will look for some punishment sometimes.
Number one thing in terms of offensive line is just finding a way to keep these guys in your program, Perry. It's just so hard to build an offensive line out of the portal year after year, just because you need that continuity, you need that chemistry, and you really and truly need some guys to stick around the program and build that just that sense of brotherhood on the offensive line. Because Perry, like it's the one position that really it just takes time to get it right. And I think that the number one thing is experience and having those guys play together. On the defensive line, I just think it's been for Southern. I'm just looking at Southern. The number one thing is, like, yes, you need size on the interior. And I think Southern tried their best to go get size last year, Perry, on the interior, but a bunch of those guys just couldn't move. And you need size, but you also need playmakers and guys that can at least hold their own and take up space and go make a play if they need to. And that's just not what happened last year. And I think the real key, if you want to have an elite defensive line, you need one guy, Perry, where if it's third and long, you can look at him and say, we need you to go get the quarterback. But we need you to go make a play, and that guy's got to be able to go win a one-on-one matchup if he gets a one-on-one matchup. And I think that's the biggest thing about building both lines of scrimmage. And I will say, like, I do think Southern added, like, Bryson Jennings coming in from Liberty has a high potential there coming off the edge. I like his size. I think he has. I think his length is good. What you're looking for in an edge rusher. And I think if he takes a step forward and can step into a leadership role this offseason, possibly Bryson Jennings could be that guy for Southern, because they need it, because with Kelby Gibbons gone, you have to replace a ton of sack production, a ton of tackle for loss production, and you need some of these edge rushers to step up in the room.
You know, as we look around the SWAC and we see this rebuild at Southern, and not just at Southern, but Prairie View had instant success. It took Jackson State a year under T.C. Taylor, and then the next year they found success. Florida A&M, people want to know what that's going to look like. It took a while for Eddie Robinson Jr. to kind of get it going, and now you kind of see the fruits of the labor. They've been missing offense all the years that they had defense. Where do you see this thing rounding up? And I know it's early. It's a lot of prediction right now. And for people, we're just talking football, right? It's still a lot to be learned about teams. There's a lot more roster to look at. There's a lot more practice to look at. And there's just a lot more before we get to those first games. But right now, we're just talking some football. But for you, Blue, from the FCS level, looking at the SWAC right now, man, what is it looking like? How it's going to probably round out right now?
Yeah, I feel very confident that TV is going to win the West next year. I think the idea that they lost a lot is incorrect. They return a whole lot more talent than I think people are giving them credit for. It's just the roster hasn't dropped, so they just think they lost a ton. I think PV is going to be better than they were last year. And I don't even know if the West is going to be close. And when I look at the West, I think the dark horse over there is probably Grambling. I think they find a sneaky good class, and they have a good bit returning. I think Grambling could be the one team that could really shake it up over there. I think it's going to take some time for Southern, man. I just don't see them pushing forward the West next year. But, Perry, I need people to be realistic here. I really am trying to push this going into preseason. This was a 2-win team. If Southern goes 6-5 or whatever, if they win 6 games, man, that is a huge improvement from where it was. Like, to have this idea that they're just going to go win the West the year after going 2-10, I think is jumping way ahead here. So I think it's PG's division to lose. And I think the East comes down to 2 teams. It's going to come down to Alabama State Jackson. I think it comes down to that last game later in the season. I really think those are the 2 best teams. I think FAM is not going to be all the way there. I think they'll be a solid 3rd-place team. And I think the dark horse here could be Alabama A&M. I thought they signed one of the better classes in the East. This offseason, they signed a really, really talented transfer portal class. They got a few handful of guys like Cornelius Brown that's returning, Quad Brown at quarterback, and they got a few guys at the skill positions that are coming back that could be really good. It's Sam Shake and get the defense together. So I really do think it's going to come down to Alabama State Jackson. I lean Alabama State a little bit right now until I get the full roster, because I do think with Andrew Foddy coming back, there was a handful of guys that were in the portal that decided to come back to Alabama State unannounced, and I think they have a lot more continuity than people are giving them credit for. So I would lean those 2 teams, but I think Jackson's going to give Alabama State everything they want and more, man. I think people did not give T.C. Taylor enough credit how he flipped last year, this roster this offseason, and I thought he brought in a ton of guys that they needed, because I think even Ken and those guys over there talked about it. There were a bunch of guys, Perry, that they thought were going to get an extra year of eligibility because that JUCO rule and didn't. And I thought TC did a really good job of pivoting and bringing in talent. So that they would be that 1A, that 1B in there in the East, but I think PV is going to walk to another West title.
Well, we'll see if Southern has something to say about that, Blue. I just want to make sure that the Jaguar Nation out there, hey, like you say, we got to be patient with this thing. You know, it's going to be year 1 of a rebuild. You heard the stats offensively and defensively. Southern was near the bottom of all of these stats. So there's a lot that has to be turned around with a program that won 2 games last year. And there's a lot that has to go into a coaching staff that has to come together, build some camaraderie amongst each other, as well as a head coach who's learning how to be a head coach in this realm of college football that continuously change around us. So there's a lot of factors at play. Hey, get your popcorn, sit back and watch. That's all we can do as Southern fans. But I think at the end of the day, the expectations here at Southern is championships. No doubt about it. We cannot lower them. We will not lower them. We've been playing in SWAC championships. We fired 2 coaches who played in SWAC championships, and Coach Dooley as well as Coach Graves. And Southern going that 2 win, I think the program can be salvaged. But the expectation is we want to win championships. We want to get to the Celebration Bowl. Point blank, period. Point blank, period. And I think at the end of the day, that's the mission, that's the goal, and that's what this staff is going to have to bring to us to create excitement and to get us back in it. Winning a couple games, that's cool or whatever, but we want championships. And I believe that's why this investment was made into this coach and this coaching staff, to bring that here to Baton Rouge and improve what we have already as an infrastructure within that program, and now bringing us more to a national prominent level. And you get that by winning a national championship on the black college level, and you get that by being able to go out and beat other FCS teams who are going to be on the schedule in the future. That's what this program wants to be, in my opinion. That's where we have to head, and it's nothing less than that. We're not going to be a subpar, just run-of-the-mill team. The investment that's put into this, the expectations are high from the Jaguar Nation. I'm sure it's high from the investors that have, put into this, and the administration of Southern. It means something to us. We brag different. And not only that, the economic impact it has for when this ball club wins, what it does for North Baton Rouge, the Scotlandville area, and more importantly for Southern Athletics. Thank you, Blue, for joining us this morning, man. Let everybody know how they can keep up with you.
Yeah, man. FCS Football Central on SI and the Blue Bloods on YouTube and all podcast streaming platforms, man. Perry, again, man. Appreciate you, bro.
For everybody out there, that's my man, Zach McKinnell, FCS Football Central. Thank you, Blue, for joining me today. And we're going to keep things going. We come back on the other side. Going to be joined by my man, Dr. Travian Scott from Grambling State University. Of course, he is we call it the AD, but he has a way better title than athletic director. And I'll tell it to you when you come back. You guys stay tuned. More to Jaguar Journal.
You see LaKendrick Powell in a heated battle for the starting position with Roger Lynn and Fred Leonard, and he won out. As you look at the Budweiser starting lineups, Ron Johnson is your running back, Quincy Lee your fullback, Williams and Hayes your wide receivers. The offensive line, big, strong, averaging over 300 pounds. Dorsey, Smith, Blatcher, and Landry are your defensive front. Chris Cooper, your newcomer of the week in the SWAC after a tremendous ball game last week. Lenny Williams is a tough cornerback. You take a look at Terrence Levy, was number 1 in the SWAC last year in pass efficiency after taking over in week 6. And this time they give it to Williams.
Got nothing on that.
We now look at our Budweiser starting lineups for Southern. Williams, the running back, the enemy is the fullback, who of course is the cousin of Eric Bieniemy, who played at Colorado. Your offensive line, Tyson, Jenkins, and Green. You go on that left side, you got nothing but big guys in front of you, leading the way. 3rd down and 4. And here's Lewis off the catch. Lewis still on his feet, and Lewis is streaking down the sideline. Touchdown. 69-yard play. Well, last week he had a 79-yard touchdown reception as Villagrano in to attempt the point after the penalty, and he converts on it. So Southern, just like that, thanks to Devin Lewis, a 69-yard touchdown play, up 7-0. So they move back 5 yards. Levy on 3rd down. Look at that on sideline. Big time play. Touchdown, Southern. And the catch was made by Kentrell Plain. Villagrano's point after is up, and it's good. And so things are going a little too easy for Southern already. They're up 14-0, and we still have 8:22 left here in the first quarter.
There's a slight drizzle.
So here we are, 3rd down. It looks like it's about 15, and the ball is loose inside, and Southern may have the football. Powell lost control of it, fumbled the football, and Southern gets it back. Big number 71, Travis Dorsey with the recovery. So here we are, 1st and goal. Williams inside, Williams touchdown. Jerry Williams, who last week rushed for just 4 yards. You knew he wasn't feeling good about that. Coming out in this one and getting a touchdown early. And here's Villagrano in to attempt the point after, which would put his team up 3 touchdowns.
There for a while, but he is the Grambling State University Vice President for Intercollegiate Athletics, my man, Dr. Travian D. Scott. What's up, Dr. Scott?
Hey, good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Good, man. Glad to have you on this morning. And the reason to have you on this morning, of course, you know it. You had an opportunity to urge Congress to protect the opportunity in college athletics. This past week, you had an opportunity to go speak to the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee on Thursday, and you wanted to deliver a clear message with a thoughtful reform to talk about the future of college athletics and the risk of leaving smaller institutions and student athletes behind. And during the hearing, you presented basically titled "Don't Fumble Their Future: Positioning Student Athletes for the Success in School and Beyond." Talk to us about this and what you talked to Congress about in terms of to get them to understand what is happening on the smaller level of college athletics.
Sure. Anytime you get invited to DC, it could be a bit overwhelming, especially when obviously you're gonna be on live TV and talk about the things that you really see as a vision and purpose for your life. And so we wanted to specifically hit on Grambling State University, but also the plight and the mission of our HBCUs and underserved institutions. But we wanted to do that within the realm of the current climate of college athletics, right? And so when you start talking about these Power Four schools and many of the schools now who are resource heavy and can do a lot of excuse me, the revenue sharing at the highest levels, and you be able to resource and cover the financial aspect of this post-house settlement environment, right? And so the argument and the discussion for us was, okay, well, and I don't know if you saw it, Perry, but I was heavy on the O word, opportunity. What does that look like, when you start to potentially unionize, right? How many opportunities do you lack? What happens if you violate Title IX? What happens, if you collectively bargain, right? If there's such a model, what happens to the opportunity for the underserved? And so, that was kind of the basis of the conversation and understanding kind of, taking a point of personal privilege to really begin that argument by stating, restating some of the things that Coach Robinson said during his testimony in 1984, and hopefully it resonated. But more than that, just wanted to be the voice for, our HBCUs, all 20 of them, even the ones that are non-SWAC and MEAC, and really have, the government at the highest levels to understand what such models would look like and how they would impact us, as far as not just a resource and a financial standpoint, but as an opportunity standpoint as well.
How was it received in your opinion?
Oh, I think it was well received. I'm actually looking forward to going back and being able to serve and contribute even more. Obviously, I consider it a high honor. Even, being in the seat, I can remember texting my president on the way there. First of all, I totally underestimated DC traffic. Listen, I'm from North Baton Rouge. It takes 10 minutes to get to South Baton Rouge. It took 10 minutes for me to get to the exit to get on the interstate from the hotel. It was crazy. But that's another story. I think it was received fairly well. I'm looking forward to going back, having a conversation with President LaMelle on the way there. And we were just, talking and texting and, just from the standpoint of being able to spread the good news, but also have them understand the impact of our HBCUs, our low resource institutions, and what it meant. Being a voice for that is something that I'm not used to, but also something that I'm not afraid of either. So, it was a good day, but we've got more work to do, and I'm looking forward to doing my part in ensuring that happens.
For anybody out there listening, of course, we have a broad listenership, and it stretches across different races and everything else. But how big is an actual gap considering, let's just use the term for football, FBS to FCS, and then not only FCS because you got different levels to that. So for you, kind of help us understand the gap size just from the big boy ball, because it's even a difference in FBS amongst the Power Four to the Group of Five.
Yeah, no question. And it's our resource wise. When we were in school and probably up to about 9 or 10 years ago, everything was all about facilities, right? Now it's hyper transactional, and it's basically how much can you pay me? The budget for revenue sharing or direct compensation, as we call it, is about $20.5 million. Without going into specifics or naming names, there are some institutions that have $30 and $40 million football rosters. Well, how do you do that? You leverage NIL, right? And so I've got $20.5 million that I can pay. Obviously, they max out on that. There's obviously, some type of ratio modeling. For example, 85% to football, 15% or 10% to men's basketball, 5% to women's basketball, or an 80-10-5-5 model, where 80% goes to football, 10% goes to basketball, 5% goes to women's basketball, 5% goes to everybody else, right? And for our institutions, we not only can't pay the $20.5 million, but we can't give anything to everybody else. So we really focus on those sports that drive revenue, those sports that place us in the space where there's heavy brand imagery, and where there's heavy notoriety. But there's still this caveat that looms over us with the remaining sports that we have as far as an equity and opportunity standpoint. So we're not doing anything really in that space, not that I've heard anyway. And so, when these numbers start to balloon and escalate, which they will, incrementally, I think they go up 3% every year for the next 5 years. You could potentially be looking at $26, $27 million budgets. And so that gap is going to widen. And listen, we don't have to be a big boy, a Power 4 institution, right? But we still got to be competitive in the marketplace. We've got to be competitive amongst our peer group. But for many of us, especially in Olympic sports, winning the SWAC is the expectation. But you're in a space because of parity with regard to scholarship allotments and things of that nature, where you can compete out of conference. Probably a little bit more realistic than say a football, right? And so you want to be able to provide those programs with resources. You want to be able to obviously follow the rules. You want to be able to max out whatever your capabilities are, but you don't want to go outside of the capabilities of the institution from a budget and finance standpoint. You work your external partners. You leverage NIL as much as you can, if you can, and you provide those students with the requisite college experience that they all deserve. Now, again, HBCUs are unique and special. There are certain items and things on our campuses that you can't get just anywhere, and so much so that you start to see some of these non-HBCUs try to replicate the HBCU culture, the HBCU feel, and the HBCU atmosphere. They've tried it, I've seen it, but that's all in an effort to have that as one less thing, if you will, that we have to offer that they can't. And so, even the PWIs, the Power 4s, the non-HBCUs that are at higher levels are trying to replicate our model from a cultural standpoint, while we do everything we can to replicate theirs from a finance and resource standpoint.
As we look at this in the money, how do how I want to put this straightforward? How do we go out to get money for student athletes in this grand scheme, as you said, being competitive, at the same time acknowledging our needs of being a low resource institution? What becomes the priority?
Well, the priority is always to simultaneously graduate student athletes at a high level and win championships. I wouldn't think that we'll be able to, with 50 to 60, 65 to $70 million budgets on the high end, be able to float $20.5 million for your football team, or whatever that number is, $16, $17 million. But we have the capabilities to do something. Grambling State University is in a unique position, and I thank my president, Dr. Martin Lamel, for really understanding our vision and allowing us to execute it. So we do pay our student athletes, not all of them, but we do share revenue or provide direct compensation to our football student athletes, and our men's and women's basketball student athletes. And we do this via contract. And so there are written agreements. There are policies and procedures in place. We look to expand the program, but we're going to expand it at our own pace. And so what that looks like is, getting out and beating the bushes and getting on the beaten path and, being able to raise dollars. Also, there's some spaces where, we may be able to reallocate some dollars that we have. And then leveraging your corporate partnerships and corporate agreements for the betterment of the department. And so we've been able to do those fairly successfully. $20.5 million? No. But, we're in a space now where, this will be our second year in that space. And the program is growing to the point to where, we're going to allow some of our non-revenue sports the opportunity to share revenue if they're able to help us to contribute via raise funds. And so very excited about that. I hadn't necessarily had my head to my ear to the ground on, what most other schools are doing. I'm wholly and solely focused on continuing to grow what we're doing here at Grambling State and hopefully provide some of the modeling, that we talked about on Thursday morning in D.C. and, being able to explain what that looks like if I'm sitting next to a Verge Osbury or Danny White or, Ross Bjork from Ohio State, who I know very well, and being able to explain it in a way that even resonates with them on how we handle, the revenue and the direct compensation payment process for our student athletes from inception to really paying those funds out. And so our process, I'm sure, is different from theirs. Their process, I'm sure, is more robust than ours, but it's still an effective process nonetheless that our student athletes and our coaches appreciate.
That's the voice of Dr. Travian Scott, my man up there at Grambling State. Dr. Scott, I appreciate you for all that you continue to do to push forward what we need done, not only at our HBCUs, but it's the low resource institutions, and continuously pushing that mission, not just for Grambling, but for all of us and for everybody. He's the vice president of intercollegiate athletics. He's doing a great job up there trying to keep things going. And, man, thank you for taking the time for coming on this morning and speaking with us about this big week being over in D.C. and doing the work that you're doing to carry on the torch to make sure that there's a future for us sometime when we often get overlooked and forgotten about.
Hey, man, thank you for having us. And next time it may be somebody else's turn. And if it is, we're going to cheer them on and hope for the best. So I appreciate the opportunity. I'm eternally grateful to Senator Cassidy and his office for reaching out, for hearing our voice, and hopefully we'll have more substantive conversations moving forward.
It's the voice of Dr. Travian Scott, the vice president of intercollegiate athletics up at Grambling State. Thank you, Dr. Scott.
Appreciate it.
All right, everybody, let's get ready to take a break. When we come back on the other side, we get ready to close things out here on the Jaguar Journal. Come back just a minute.
There's Levy again, over the middle, pass up in the air, tip drill! Pass is intercepted by Dante Wesley. And that's the big-time play they talked about, that he is capable of making. You say the name Francois. And here's Powell on the quarterback keeper, and touchdown.
Right up the middle.
Arkansas Pine Bluff. The PAT. Pick is up, and it's good.
The ref was slow to say something.
And so, just maybe Lee Harvey knew something we didn't. He was called for a reason. They're back in it. Called any timeout, so if they don't get in here, they can take a timeout, if I'm not mistaken. But they get in anyway. And Williams gets in for the touchdown. Antonio scoring his second touchdown of the season. And Francisco's kick is good. So it's now 28-7 with half a minute left. And Richardson's club has been in control throughout this football game. Touchdown, Arkansas Pine Bluff. And boy, how they let the receiver get the ball.
For the score.
Play Southern defensive line was running games, but Arkansas Pine Bluff offensive line held in there real well, gave him good protection so he could stand tall in the score.
And Gary Walls speaks over the crossbar, but pulls the club within 14. Back right after this. intercepted. And the defense for Arkansas, Pine Bluff, still coming up with the plays. This time, Terrell Hemmings with the interception. Here's Powell again, going to throw the football. Intercepted and dropped. And the ball's still loose. And then Arkansas, Pine Bluff get it back. Yes!
Bradley been making big plays all day and just made another one.
Watch out, Mr. Powell. Here comes Chapman. And again, it slips out of his hands. And you've got to keep on playing that because that might be a fumble. Picked up by Williams. Williams going down the sideline. And we talked about it before. You've got to stay alert. And Williams picks it up. Jakari Williams, the senior from California, picks up the fumble. Races down the sidelines for the touchdown. Villagrano's kick is good. Oh, our final score, Southern wins this one 35-14. Keep in mind that our next game here on BET is next week. Jackson State taking on Tennessee State. Time for us to leave, and we will join Comic View in progress from Southern University here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
The 3-game series they won yesterday. Baseball taking on Prairie View. Baseball won last night over Prairie View, and they won the midweek game against McNeese. So some point here soon, I'll try to make sure I get Coach Crenshaw on. Next week, it'll be the spring showcase for Southern University football. And, of course, we wrapped up basketball season. How y'all brackets looking? Tell you, mine's in shambles, completely in shambles, right? Arkansas just got whooped up on the other night. As my man Charles Barkley says, it's the Arizona Invitational. I have Duke going all the way, winning it all. I had Duke versus Florida in the Final Four and Arkansas versus Michigan. Of course, Florida and Arkansas both out, but Michigan and Duke still hanging in there. So LSU lost last night in basketball to Duke, actually, on the women's side. So, you know, some things going on. How your brackets looking? That's all I'm saying. Just trying to be enthused, but I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. Once again, the Jaguar Journal, we're live today on 5 different areas. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Twitch. We're live on X as well as on Instagram for the first time today. And we're still trying to figure out the Instagram thing in terms of the live and how it looks on the screen compared to everything else. Because, you know, the compatibility across all social media is different compared to which one that you use. We're also on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. And you can listen to us live if you're just listening on radio in the Baton Rouge capital city area every Saturday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Talk 107.3 FM. And I appreciate everybody out there that listens to the show, everybody that supports it. When I'm out and about and people that love Southern, they see me, they speak and say, man, we pay attention and we listen. And I appreciate being the voice on this end of Southern University and what I can do to be able to put out information. And I speak my opinion, and sometimes it's not accepted by many, but hey, it is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. This what makes the Jaguar Journal what it is. Have you ever heard the beginning of it? For many of y'all, you probably don't get to catch the intro. It says opinionated, outspoken. It's the Jaguar Journal. That's why this show has lasted for so long. And I'm in a box to where in this box, it's open-minded thinking. It's not closed-minded. And we're going to say pretty much what we want to say. If it's not accepted by everybody, which I understand it isn't, there's a lot of people out there that still feel some type of way about me right now, and that's okay. I love you. Nothing you can do about it. And at the end of the day, I don't think anything that I say here, regardless if it's critical or not, shows that I don't like Southern or love Southern. Anybody, you would be a fool to think that. Southern is near and dear to my heart. I owe it everything, and I continuously show that. So I just want to make sure that's understood. I love my university. I love Southern University, and I love being able to get on here and bring information to you guys. And when I have a thought, regardless of how you feel about it, I'm going to say it. I'm a very open and blunt guy. You know, I don't you know, I try to care about feelings, but at the same time, I try to care about change more than anything else, and doing what's right for the institution and doing my part to do what's right for the institution. That's bringing information on here for you guys. And as we start to get out of the sports thing, I definitely start to dive more into the institution itself on the educational side. I also want to dive into the political side as well. Yesterday, I had an opportunity to be a part of what the United States Army Corps of Engineers, they normally do their high water tour along the Mississippi River from New Madrid, all Missouri, all the way down here to Baton Rouge. So I had the chance to sit in and listen to that meeting. One of the main things I wanted to see, what was the Mississippi River doing here, and particularly in this region, since Southern University sits high on a bluff that has been dealing with erosion due to the Mississippi River. And so I'm interested. I'm so caught up into different areas of learning and to figure out and networking and meeting. It's down to stuff that you wouldn't even simply think of. So I just want to make sure people understand that I'm all the way committed and I'm all the way in when it comes to Southern University. I love Southern. I love Baton Rouge, and that's why I've made it my home, and that's why I've committed this amount of my life right now, this point, into making sure I do what I can for the great Southern University and to ensure that it has a future, and that I'm right here to be a part of being an active person to make sure I ain't left it behind. I didn't just get my education and run away. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the show, and guess what? It has been great. You have been great, and I appreciate you guys. So I'll catch you next week, same time, same place as always. It's the Jaguar Journal. Catch you guys later, okay? What's going on, everybody? I am Perry White. I'm the host of the Jaguar Journal. I want to make sure that you guys tune in live each and every Saturday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on 107.3 FM. We also have our affiliates in Alexandria, Louisiana, as well as down in New Orleans. And if you're not able to catch us on radio live, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as follow us on Facebook. It's the Jaguar Journal.